Good evening. It is Monday, December 30th, 2024, and coming to you from Lonely Tree Media Studios in Tacoma, Washington. This is the best Lamm Sports Show. I'm your host, David Lamm. With me is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
Hello, Parker. Yep. Jesus Christ, they are loud.
Well, they're in rare form. They're college football playoff ready.
You need to freaking settle down until the actual college football playoff happens.
The crowd is college football playoff ready. You know what? I'm just going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go out early and say this. I feel like I'm going to be sick. I mean, not sick as in like I'm going to throw up. I feel like I'm getting a cold or something. You know what I mean?
It's that time of year.
When you get that early so what happens with me is my ears get hot. Both ears get super hot, and the rest of me gets cold, which is kind of weird. But that's
same thing happens to me too. Yeah.
Really? Oh, okay.
Well, yeah. That is a very, very similar experience. I feel it in my ears before I feel it in anything else.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I still feel pretty good today. I'm that pre-stage. I don't know what's gonna happen. Anyway, not that it matters. I'm just saying. Let's talk. We got a lot of things to talk about. College football playoff. We're just gonna talk about college football and the NFL for the most part, and NFL playoff scenarios. There are a bunch of them still, even though there's only 4 playoff spots up for grabs. I don't know how it's working anyway. We'll talk about it.
Well, there's
we'll talk about it in a minute. But there's not many left to get. One in the AFC, right? And is there only one in the NFC? There might only be one. Anyway, we'll talk about it in a minute. we got a lot to talk about. We're gonna talk about the NFL first right off the bat. So let's just dive in to what happened over the weekend, or over the last week, I guess. And right now, by the way, end of the third period, the Lions lead the Niners 31-28. 18 points in the third quarter from the Lions to get back into this game, because I thought the Niners were in pretty good control of this. Brock Purdy has 3 touchdowns, 288 yards at the end of 3. That's pretty good.
It's nice that he can finally do his job now that the season's over.
Yeah, now that they're eliminated and nothing matters.
Take the pressure of the playoffs off of you. People do all sorts of weird crap. I'm looking at you, Raiders and Giants.
The Lions are trying to go 8-0 on the road, which is amazing. Let's be fair. In the NFL these days, I don't know if that's. I mean, the Chiefs are 7-1 on the road, so there's that. But I think that's a big deal. If you can go unbeaten on the road, you're going to win a lot of home games just from being at home.
The Seahawks toted what was it, like 6-1 on the road after beating the Bears? 6-1.
The Seahawks are 6-1 on the road. Yeah, they have one more away game. They play at the Rams, right?
They play at the Rams.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah,
we have more to talk about. But anyway, currently Lions lead the Niners 31-28 in a game that is important for the Lions in terms of home field advantage, getting the bye, winning the division, right? All of that's super important for the Lions. The Niners are eliminated, so no one cares. Not that no one cares, but I mean, really, let's be fair.
No one cares.
No one cares.
This is a game you're expecting them to get crushed in, and it doesn't matter if they don't.
Christmas Day, what did we learn? The Chiefs beat the Steelers 29-10. What we learned is that Travis Kelce can barely reach the goalpost, the crossbar.
He's not the thinnest dude.
No, he's pretty stout, and I know it's not low. I mean, it's pretty high up there, and I've seen guys dunk it before, but Travis Kelce was a little short. He barely got it over the crossbar.
According to the Chiefs official roster on their website, he weighs 250.
Is that all he weighs?
That's what they're saying. So he probably weighs 260 plus some pads. So pads, helmet's 3.5 pounds, something like that. So he's probably pushing 265, 270.
He's a large
fully
human. Decked
out.
He's a large human. Not little.
That's a lot of mass to move, especially when you consider that what LeBron James is 7 foot but weighs like 220.
Well, so here's my thing though. I watched tight ends. Tony Gonzalez used to be able to dunk over the crossbar.
Actually, according to this, LeBron James is 250 also.
Tony Gonzalez used to be able to dunk over the crossbar pretty easy. He was he's the one that, like, I don't know if he started that, but he was the one I remember first doing that.
But he was a basketball player.
It's true that you're not wrong.
Definably a basketball player.
But he still was big like Travis Kelce. So he still managed to get himself up there. So I mean, there's no excuse if another large human can get himself up there. Why can't you get yourself up there?
Tony Gonzalez here is showing 6'5", 243 at his last
so a little
roster.
Thinner. Yeah,
a little thinner. But by that same token, when they say 6'5", you know they're 6'3". Like, so they're all a little shorter.
The helmet, they measure them with a helmet on. You know they do.
The team reports the measurements, and they're always favorable.
Cleats and a helmet add what 4 inches, 3 inches. Anyway, Chiefs kind of whomped the Steelers 29-10. That wasn't even really. I mean, it was 13-7 at the half. I get it. It was 16-10 at the end of 3. It still never felt like the Steelers were in that football game. I didn't think that they were going to win it.
Yeah.
Total control. Patrick Mahomes is 29 of 38 for 320 and 3 touchdowns. I'm not 100% certain there's a better quarterback in the NFL than Patrick Mahomes, just in terms of making plays, right? When he needs to make a play, he makes a play.
Ooh, I think Josh Allen.
Come on, he's there, and Josh Allen would be number 2. Or maybe 1A, 1B.
I'm okay if you want to say 1A, 1B, and give Mahomes the A, and Allen the B.
Yeah.
Because Mahomes is never going to do some of the things that Allen's going to do, but Allen's never going to do some of the things Mahomes has done.
What I mean by making a play is making something happen that probably shouldn't have happened. Josh Allen just runs over people. And that's true. That's something Patrick Mahomes never going to do.
Yeah.
But a running back does that. You know what I mean?
I watched Josh Allen take a pitch pass in the snow, dive for a pylon like he was a running back.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I've seen Patrick Mahomes dive for enough pylons, but
no, Patrick Mahomes is not the right. One thing you never see Patrick Mahomes do is quarterback sneak.
They don't. Ever since he got hurt.
They're afraid to do it, right?
They're very clear about it. Yeah, they said that they don't do it. So I think I read somewhere or heard somewhere that it's in his contract.
Oh Jesus! See
that they won't run QB sneaks.
That shouldn't be a thing. Pittsburgh.
I know. Yes, it should be. If you're going to bring me 3 Super Bowls, I will put whatever you want in your contract.
But again, that's where I go, okay, Patrick Mahomes can make things happen that shouldn't happen, but Josh Allen, it will put it all on the line for you. Josh Allen will commit to sacrificing his body and maybe his walking future to your win. You know what I mean? Patrick Mahomes is not going to do that.
Patrick Mahomes wins Super Bowls without ever putting his own life in jeopardy, and you could not say the same about like a Jalen Hurts. If Jalen Hurts didn't have the tush push, who would he be?
Right, exactly. We wouldn't be celebrating him nearly as much.
He has to bench 600, and he has to go under center and get a yard.
600. Yeah, that's a lot.
I think isn't that what he hit?
Is that what he does? He bench 600? That's
Jalen
a lot.
Hurts bench
squat weight. Yeah,
squat weight.
Squat's different now.
Hey, no, that's still
bench is different than squat.
He squatted 600.
Okay, squat's different. I can squat almost that much. By the way, just FYI.
280.
Bench 280.
He did a 5. So last at his MVP, what's not his MVP days? At his what's it called? Combine days. He did a 570 squat, a 280 bench, and a 585 deadlift, and he weighs under 200 pounds.
Okay, that's fair.
Impressive.
It is impressive. I mean, all of that's impressive. Honest to God, every NFL player, if you put up their combine numbers for squats and bench press and all that crap, it is really amazing. Those guys are amazing athletes. They really are. I couldn't do that. But when I was younger and I was in high school, I could squat damn near that much. But it isn't about that really necessarily. I couldn't bench press that much. I don't know.
But when you do the tush push, you have to be able to squat because you got to put those things. Patrick Mahomes' squat was 300 pounds.
Yeah, that's about right. He doesn't. But that's again, like you said, he got hurt. They don't do it anymore. I get it. He built it in his contract. That's smart thing to do.
Him and Travis Kelce both have the dad bod.
Anyway, so anyway, like I said, the Chiefs, we went down a hole again. The Chiefs beat the Steelers 29-10. The Steelers, let me ask you this. The Steelers then, because the Ravens won,
yep.
The Steelers are now in second place in the division.
Yep.
Do you feel like the Steelers are, I know they're a playoff team at 10-6, but let's be fair, they could lose to the Bengals in the last game of the season. finished 10-7, and finished behind the Chargers. I think. No, they have the tiebreaker with the Chargers, don't they?
Yeah.
It's not fair. I don't feel like the Steelers are a legitimate threat.
They're both in, so it doesn't matter.
But I don't feel like the Steelers are a threat.
No, I mean, I feel like the Steelers' best games, right? Like the best games they managed to put on tape was an early win against the Chargers, right? A mid-season win, I should say, against the Ravens. But that was 18-16. Wasn't like he came out there and handled them.
Right.
Right? And then you put on a hell of an offensive clinic against the Bengals the first time around. So I'll give you credit for that one. Their defense is terrible, but you still had to score 44 points in that whole mix. Other than that, you got smacked by the Ravens pretty well the second time around. The Eagles took care of you just fine.
They've lost three straight.
Yeah, you didn't. I mean, the three best teams on your schedule, you just played them in a row, and you lost all three.
Here's what's weird about the Steelers. The Steelers have beaten, and if you want to count them as playoff teams or not, you can or you don't have to. But the Falcons, they beat the Falcons, the Broncos, the Chargers, the Commanders, the Ravens, the Bengals, who are still fighting for a spot. That's a lot of playoff teams that you've beaten. Yeah. However, you lost to the Colts, the Cowboys, the Browns, and then this last stretch was three good teams: the Eagles, Ravens, and Chiefs. You got one game left against the Bengals. You need to win it. I mean, the Steelers still have something to play for.
Well, they're still playing for if they win and the Ravens lose, they get the division title.
Right. So they still got something to play for, and that's helpful for Denver. But we'll talk about that.
But I'm looking at their schedule and I'm saying, okay, let's say the Falcons are in. Let's say they do their job and Tampa loses and they're in.
Right.
Then let's say the Broncos do their job.
And they're
right.
Yeah.
Then the Steelers do their job.
Right.
If the Broncos do their job, then two of your wins are not against a playoff team, Bengals.
That's true, but you beat them.
So those go out the window, and now your playoff wins are against the Falcons, the Broncos, the Chargers, the Commanders, and the Ravens.
But still,
that's it. It's 5, and one game's divisional.
All right, let's talk about that then.
And you split with the Ravens.
Okay, that's fine. Let's talk about that then. So here, let me pull up the Ravens here because I want to look at the schedule. Since we're going to talk about this, let's talk about this. The Ravens have beaten how many playoff teams? The Ravens have beaten the Bills, the Commanders, the Buccaneers. We're going to call that a playoff team.
If we're gonna give them the potential credit for the Falcons, then we have to give them the Commanders. Yeah.
The Broncos.
Yep.
The Chargers.
Yep.
The Steelers. And the Texans. So they've beaten 7. Okay. So the Baltimore Ravens have beaten 7 playoff teams.
Yeah.
Let's hold on. Let me back up. Let's go back to the Chiefs because the Chiefs are the best team in the league, right? They beat the Ravens. They beat the Falcons. They beat the Chargers.
Right. Broncos.
They beat the Buccaneers, the Broncos. They lost to the Bills. They beat the Chargers again. Does that count if you beat them twice?
I mean, we were going to count it for Cincinnati.
It's like 8. It's like 8 for the Chiefs, right?
8 of your 17 games are against playoff teams.
That's pretty good.
I mean, mind you, everyone here seems to be getting a free win off the Broncos. So
sorry.
So that's kind of upsetting, of its own right. But also, I mean, I just don't think
you don't feel
the
like
Steelers are a legitimate.
Right.
I feel like the Ravens at any point could score 60. Do I think they always will? No, but they could. Do I feel like the Steelers could score 60 in a perfect storm?
You feel like
they scored 44 against the Bengals, and that was impressive. The Ravens scored 40 against the Broncos, and I just kind of pushed it aside because it is all right.
You feel like the Steelers have to hold the other team to 17 or less, right? Because 20 points is what you feel like, right? 20
or
21.
A defensive standout game.
Right. And I agree with that. I feel like the Steelers are one of those teams that I feel like, okay, if their defense is playing great and they're playing lights out defense, they have a chance. Otherwise, nah. However, they did outscore Cincinnati. They did outscore Cincinnati 44-38 at one point during the season, so they can score some points.
That's what I said a few minutes ago. That was the best output they had all year.
Not so much.
But I mean, the Ravens have a plus 132 differential. The Steelers are plus 35, and their plus 35 is on a couple less playoff team wins.
All right, we're wasting a lot. We're wasting.
That being said, all you need to know is even if the Steelers make it, you expect them to run into a Chiefs, a Philly, a Ravens, and they're not going to win them.
Agreed. I agree.
So
I don't.
They
I don't.
snuck out a win against the Ravens earlier this year, and that's what they've been hanging their hat on all season.
And that's how they could still win the division. Is because
that's the only reason they're still in it. It's because the Ravens played down.
Who did the Ravens play last game of the season? I didn't look. So let me look. Just by the way, Ravens play the Browns.
Yeah, it should be a win. Divisional stuff.
So it should be the Ravens in the third spot.
Browns got nothing to play for, yeah.
Yeah, and so
are those games all at the same time?
And you know what? They should all be on Sunday at the same time, but I don't know.
Usually they do that, but
the division is all, or like all of the AFC is on one time and all the NFC is on another time. I don't know if they're doing it that way, but that's the way it should be. So it looks like the Browns are 1:30 p.m. on ESPN.
Bengals Steelers is after,
but that's Saturday because that's Saturday.
Oh, but but still the Steelers will know if they need to start people.
When are the
Ravens play at 2:30 p.m. Saturday. Bengals play 6 o'clock, or Bengals Steelers is 6 o'clock Saturday.
Oh wow!
So
really? Yeah, I'm looking at the Ravens.
What I'm looking at
1:30 Saturday. Yeah, okay.
1:30 and then 5 o'clock for the Steelers.
Wow,
so the Steelers will know if they need to start anybody.
That shouldn't be a thing. They shouldn't be allowed that. But that's Saturday. They're playing both Saturday and Sunday, and I get it. Why you're filling. But
both of these games are super meaningful. Well, the Ravens Browns is not as meaningful, but it is meaningful for the Ravens. But they're trying to keep these games in prime time. That's why you flexed Bears Packers into 11 o'clock. You don't want the Bengals Steelers game at 11 o'clock.
Nobody wants to see the Bears Packers.
Yeah. Or sorry, 10 o'clock your time. But
anyway, okay.
And the Broncos will know.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there. Let's move on. Seahawks beat the Bears 6-3 on Thursday. That was. Well, let's just say this: the Ravens beat the Texans 31-2, and I'm not gonna lie, I watched this game, and I saw that the Ravens scored the first 10 points, right? And at the end of the first quarter, it was 10-0. I tuned away. I just tuned to something else. I don't remember what I was watching. It was a movie or something, probably Harry Potter. I don't know. Long story short, I come back to it. I think these were all on Netflix. Was that right? On Christmas Day, all the games were on Netflix.
The two games on Christmas Day were Netflix. Yes.
Yeah. So I come back to the game, and instead of it being live, it left off where I left off, and I didn't know
where you exited. Yeah.
Yeah, where I exited. So it came back on. It was 10-0, and all of a sudden there's a safety by Houston. It's 10-2, and I'm like, oh right, it's 10-2. Houston's gonna get back in this game, right? No, that's not at all what happened.
You were just behind by now.
3 straight touchdowns by Baltimore, and it was 31-2, and it was just a really bad game by Houston. I mean, Houston is the worst excuse in this season for a division leader. I mean, I think Tampa's. If you put Tampa against Houston, I would take Tampa.
I would probably take Tampa too.
Yeah.
I would say if Houston had Tank Dell back. And
they are hurt.
Somebody else is hurt for them.
They are banged up. That's
they have
true.
two big players that are hurt for them on offense, and then they have that defensive player who was suspended for the season.
Yeah.
Who just met with Roger Goodell today, but they've got some issues. But even then, I think I take the Buccaneers the way it stands.
And they play the Titans on Sunday at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not that it matters, but. They're in. They won the division already.
Yeah,
so
they have. They're probably not going to play anybody.
There's a chance they could finish 9-8, which I don't like that being a division champion.
I don't mind you finishing 9-8.
No, not at all.
If the reason you finished 9-8 was because you sat your starters in a week that didn't get you anything.
I would like this to be just like we're going to talk about the college football playoff. I would like for this to not have buys. We won your division. You shouldn't get a bye because you're freaking 9-8. You should be the 7th seed. Bam.
Oh, yeah. No automatic seeding 1 through 4. Yeah.
You automatically get in because you win your division, but not a freaking bye. Not a freaking 4 seed.
I was just going to say, I don't mind the buys.
There's only one bye.
Isn't there 2? I thought 1
and 2
get buys.
Only the first seed gets a bye. I say bye, but I mean you get a home field game because you won your division. That shouldn't be a thing. Sorry. You guys suck. You're going to play a 5 seed who's going to be either Pittsburgh or Baltimore. And they're going to come in and they're going to beat you. Houston, sorry.
Yeah.
So, anyway, there's that. Anyway, so we were talking about Seahawks. that's where we were. And then, there's so many damn things. Anyway, Seahawks win 6-3. In a game that was wet, sloppy, ugly. I don't even know how to describe it. Geno Smith, 17 of 23, 160 yards. there was nothing great about this football game.
It's what you expected from the Bears.
It is what you expect from the Bears, but not necessarily the Seahawks, who were 6-1 on the road. They did win, but all the scoring's in the first. If you love SEC football, this was your game.
I literally sent to a group chat. I was like, "Wow, shades of the Alabama LSU game, 2011."
Yeah, that's bad. That's just a bad football game.
But also, I don't know enough about the. We know the Seahawks have issues scoring points sometimes.
They do,
right? And the Bears' defense isn't bad. Bad weather always helps a defense more than it helps an offense.
Agreed.
So it kind of had all the makings of a potentially low-scoring game. Now, I don't think I ever pegged it as being 6-3. I would have guessed more like 14-10.
Yeah, you would think there'd be a couple touchdowns in there. No touchdowns, right? So
the question is, how many red zone trips were there?
Okay.
There had to be a couple of them because they didn't.
If you want me to tell you, red zone trips. So the
I see here.
I don't know. Does it say
it's
that
two
somewhere?
It's the red zone maids versus attempts, right? So attempts in the red zone versus
two, one for each team.
One for each team. Both teams only got to the red zone once, but I mean.
Oh, geez, that's awful.
They only had what's it called? Where's the total yardage?
It's
for
bad.
I mean, it definitely 265 for the Seahawks, 179 for the Bears. Neither of them moved down the field more than 3 times.
No, it was awful. I mean, let's be fair. This was an awful football game.
It was boring.
One turnover each team. The time of possession was within 40 seconds of each other, right?
That to me is unusual when there's not a lot of turnovers. Well, no, that's exactly like that SEC. That's exactly like that Alabama game.
Yeah,
there was like no turnovers. They just punt.
Penalty yardage was 2 yards within each other.
Not bad, yeah.
Yeah, so every sacks. Now there were 7 sacks of Caleb Williams, so that has a lot to do with a lot of this pressure.
Caleb Williams holds on to the puck. Holds onto the ball a lot.
I laughed. There was a meme that got put. We're way off topic, by the way. And there was a meme that we do this all the time. There was a meme that got put out, or a video, or a post that got put out, talking about Caleb Williams saying, telling the punter, you won't have to punt much this year.
He said it during preseason.
And then they showed all of the possessions in this game.
Yeah,
but it's literally punt. I'm like, okay, so there were 5 possessions in the second half, 4 punts and an interception, and there were
5 possessions. Is such
1, 2, 3. There were 5 possessions in the first half, and it was 3 punts, a field goal, and the end of the half. So, yeah, they had 10 possessions total, and 7 of them were punts.
Here's a good little comparison.
Yeah.
Right. The Cardinals played the Rams.
Right.
And in that game, the second half had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 possessions.
Right.
Right. That game was only 13-9.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it was a crazy dramatically higher score. There's like 1 more touchdown involved there.
Right.
And then an extra field goal. And yet the first half had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 possessions in the first half. That game had 20 possessions.
I don't know.
It's crazy.
I don't know what happened in this game, but I'm just going to say this. The first drive for the Seahawks is 6 minutes, 11 plays, right?
Just long drive.
Then 3 plays, 5 plays, 3 plays, 3 plays. Seahawks go 9 plays, 5 minutes and punt. And then the Bears go 13 plays, 67 yards and kick a field goal. 7.5 minutes. They took half of a quarter to kick a field goal, right? And you're going, okay, that's ridiculous. And what just happened? Oh my gosh, I hate it when things go weird. And then you have the Seahawks for 8 plays, 38 yards, kick a field goal. So that was like 10 minutes of the game right there. 2 field goals. Right?
Long sustained drives in the rain.
3 plays, 6 plays, 5 plays, 5 plays, 6 plays, 3 plays, 6 plays, 4 plays. And then the last drive by the Bears was 13 plays, 5 minutes, and they threw an interception. Yeah. I'm like, this is the worst game probably to watch. If you watch the one NFL game all year, it should not have been this one. But if it was, I'm sorry, because that was bad. So long story short, Seahawks win to keep their playoff hopes alive, right? Because this was on the day after Christmas, right? So Woo-hoo.
Did you watch the DK Metcalf? Like, all this aside, it was a dog shit game. Did you watch the DK Metcalf penalty? The thing that I called you about and was like, I don't understand how this was called.
Yes.
Unnecessary. I think they ended up calling it unnecessary roughness.
Yes, I did.
Something like
and
that.
I still don't figure it out. I still haven't figured it out.
They changed it from a personal foul to unnecessary, or from an unsportsmanlike conduct to unnecessary roughness.
Right.
And they're both personal fouls, but one's penalizable with disqualification. But if you look at like the stat line here, it says penalty on Seattle, DK Metcalf, unnecessary roughness, 15 yards enforced at Seattle 39. Penalty on Seattle, DK Metcalf, unnecessary roughness declined. Like, how are we not penalizing people for this?
I don't know. I don't know.
And by the way, that was on their field goal drive.
Right. I don't understand what happened. I watched it, and I watched the replay of it, and I watched what happened, and I still am at a loss for how we got to here.
How we got to unnecessary roughness instead of personal foul or sportsmanlike conduct or whatever.
And they declined it anyway, so it doesn't really matter, right? But you can't get two. How do you get two unnecessary roughness penalties on the same? I don't understand. I don't get it. I mean, it was weird. This is a weird game. It just was a weird football game.
It was a terrible game. Neither team really wanted to be there, cared to be there. Seattle isn't holding their hopes in their hands even with a win. So I didn't think that it mattered too much to them.
And you'd think Seattle, with a good winning road record, would have just come out and just dominated the Bears, who we know are not that good. But it wasn't. It just wasn't. It just wasn't that kind of football game. I wish it had been better. I feel bad about it, but it is what it is. So the Seahawks kept their hopes alive by winning, right?
Yeah.
The Chargers played the Patriots on Saturday. Chargers did exactly what they needed. 40-7 over the Patriots. That was a bad team. They beat them hard. Herbert throws for 3 touchdowns, 281 yards, right? J.K. Dobbins runs for 76 yards and a touchdown. I think Herbert and Ladd McConkey have a thing now. I think they're best buddies now. I think that's a big deal.
It helps when Ladd stays healthy.
I'll be fair. I'll be honest. I didn't think Ladd McConkey was the best thing, but he has emerged as a favorite target. 8 catches, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns, and they seem to have a connection. Which, I mean, that's all you need is one guy that you can connect with, right?
He put 1,000 receiving yards on the season.
He did,
and he's got 7 touchdowns. Like
he's legit, right? I mean.
Yeah. And he didn't play every game too.
Yeah.
Or he kept getting hurt or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the situation was, but he's proven some value.
Now the Chargers can rest everybody against the Raiders. Well, they don't. I don't know if they're going to rest everybody because, well, I guess so, because they can't catch the Steelers because of the tiebreaker. Is that right? Hold on, let's back up. The Chargers are 10-6. The Steelers are 10-6. So the Chargers can pass the Steelers.
Yes, the Chargers. There's still some movement.
There's still something they can do. So they could end up being. Do you want to be the 4 seed or the 5 seed?
Yes, because you want to play Houston.
That's true.
Yeah,
agreed. Okay, so that's good.
Completely agree.
So so they play the Raiders. But the Raiders they could beat up on. I don't think the Raiders are going to be an issue. Yeah, but anyway, that's a thing. I mean,
there's more to come on who you want to play when we talk about the Broncos game.
Right. So the Chargers were good. They came out and did exactly what they want to do. Jim Harbaugh is a candidate for Coach of the Year. Yes.
Ooh.
Who would you give me 3? If you had 3 and you had to put 3 in the finals, Kevin O'Connell from Minnesota.
Kevin O'Connell from Minnesota. Yeah, for sure. Because did anybody expect it with Sam Darnold?
No,
they
said 6.5 wins was the preseason.
Yeah.
Win total. Right?
Not a chance in hell.
Not 14.
Dan Quinn, Commanders.
Okay.
They're 11-5. They've turned that team around a good
Commanders
bit.
Are good. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I know most people probably won't want to give it to them.
Who?
See this Mike Tomlin's not a bad choice.
Not a bad choice.
Because
what he
got them off to a great start, but when they got to good teams, they've started faltering, and now it looks like you just capitalized on a string of bad teams.
But it's about what did you do with a team? Were they expected to be there? Did you do more than they were supposed to?
Are you expecting a Mike Tomlin team to go 500?
I mean,
yes, and now they have 10 wins.
Agreed.
So like, is that so far above what you expected of him? It's not really. I would say it's got to be. It's got to be the Vikings, because you could also make an argument for the Buccaneers.
The Buccaneers, yeah. I thought about that too. It's a tough one, right? Commanders, Vikings, Buccaneers. You could even throw Jim Harbaugh, but although 2 years ago the Chargers were in this exact situation, right? So,
yeah. Also, you could give it to Dan Campbell. They have every year taken a step forward.
The freaking Lions are good.
Yeah, every single year since he's got there, they have stepped forward, and there's not many teams that progress like that year over year.
And by the way, they're winning 34-28 against the Niners with 5:21 to go in the fourth. They have the ball at the San Francisco 38, so there's a good chance that they're going to pull this one out and set up
as they should
a huge last game of the season. I love this, by the way. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. I don't know. I'm just saying that maybe Jim Harbaugh gets a little consideration. He may not win it, but
he gets a little consideration. But coming into Week 18, can the Chargers even win the division? And the answer is no. But the Vikings could with Sam Darnold.
What's true? Justin Herbert has only thrown 3 interceptions this year.
Justin Herbert just beat Peyton Manning for passing yards in his first 5 years.
Right.
You have an all-star superstar QB. You already had him. You inherited him.
Right.
Kevin O'Connell had to replace Pro Bowler Kirk Cousins.
It's true. I would vote for Kevin O'Connell as coach of the year in a heartbeat.
I don't know how you pick anybody else
when
you think about what they've done with. And don't get me wrong, he's got Jefferson, he's got Addison.
Agreed.
He could get Jones.
And
he's got people.
And I haven't gotten there yet. We're going to get to that when we talk about the Vikings here in a minute. But I agree because I'm gonna agree with you here in just a minute. But give me a minute. Okay. Justin Herbert, by the way, 3,500 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, which is an amazing rate.
Take care of the ball.
Right. If you just take care of the ball and don't throw it away, I mean, or if you don't throw interceptions, right? He has been not relied upon to do as much this year because the defense has been better and the running game has been better thanks to Dobbins. So I think, I hate to say that because I love Austin Eckler. I thought he was like he's the Swiss Army knife of football, right? Catch, he can run, he can do all that crap. But just having a guy who can pound the football up the middle is a big deal. It really is in the NFL. It's a pass-happy league. It is. But if you can do both, Derrick Henry, right, makes Lamar Jackson better. There's no doubt. That kind of thing. Anyway, so I like it. Anyway,
it's the second lowest QBR of Justin Herbert's career.
Right, second lowowest, and yet he's 21-3 or 20. Like he has only how many NFL quarterbacks have played every game and only thrown 3 interceptions in the last 20 years?
Well, Justin Herbert hasn't played every game.
Well, that's true.
He's only got 16 on the season. Yeah,
he's gonna miss one game, right?
He's gonna.
But they've only played 16.
Oh wait, there's 17.
There's one more game. Yeah,
my brain is telling me there's 18. So no, I thought he missed one.
So 18 weeks.
18 weeks.
Yeah, 18
17 games. Yeah.
So he's got one more game to play.
He will play every game.
If you play every game and you only throw 3 interceptions in an NFL season, come on. How many people have done that?
The number of passes he's throwing is going way down over the last 2 years.
Way down. But they've been running the football and they've been playing defense, and that's how you win football games. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Moving forward, Rams 13-9 over the Cardinals. It was also an ugly game. To be fair, Puka Nacua is also got to be mentioned in that whole Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Cooper Kupp kind of mention. You know what I mean? When you talk about receivers, he's really, really good. I watch him play. He didn't score a touchdown in this game. 10 catches for 129 yards, though.
The only reason I don't want to put him there yet is because it's only his second year. And he's already had some interesting little injuries and things like that.
True. But
I want to give him like one more year before I really start putting you in the same breath as those guys.
Agreed. His season though is 79 receptions for 990 yards. He hasn't even broken 1,000 and only 3 touchdowns. And I get it.
So wait, he needs 10 yards to break 1,000?
He needs 10 yards to break 1,000. I'm pretty sure
he'll get that. He'll get that next week.
Yeah. Considering they're playing the Seahawks, who suck. Well, I'm not saying the Seahawks suck, but the Seahawks are not that great.
They're bad.
I like these little sweat. Here's Sean McVay, by the way, on the sideline with the blue. I like these sweatshirts. The Broncos one, the navy blue with the orange Broncos right across the middle.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful. I know it's not like a heavy sweatshirt. It's like a really thin hoodie kind of thing. without a pocket.
They're not that thin.
They're not that thin?
But yeah. No,
like
I've seen them in person. They're a little thicker than you think they are.
The Broncos one is gorgeous.
I honestly like the Rams one. That's really pretty.
Well, you know what? I was just telling your mom, by the way, when we were watching the Rams play, I miss the Rams mustard yellow. The bright yellow is okay, and the ombre yellow to white.
But they can't do
numbers.
the mustard yellow because the Chargers have the mustard yellow as their yellow.
Well, it's in the same. They're in the same building. They could just keep one color scheme.
I get it.
Right?
You don't want to do all that.
Whatever.
Like you want to define yourself a little differently. That's why the Chargers wear the baby blues more this year, and the Rams wore the darker blue more this year.
Matt Stafford did not throw a touchdown pass in this game. And they win 13-9 anyway. Kyler Murray did throw a touchdown pass, but he also threw 2 interceptions. Kyler Murray he's frustrating to watch. I'm going to say this. He's frustrating to watch. He scrambles around, he moves around, he makes things happen, but he also, like in one of the plays, and I swear it was a 3rd down play, he just dropped down. Like he was going to get sacked, or he was in trouble, but he just fell down.
Yeah. And
I'm like, dude, just throw it downfield or something. You guys are out of the playoffs. It doesn't matter at this point. Just throw it and try and make something happen. He did.
I've definitely seen it as well.
Yeah, he just gave up, right?
He is frustrating to watch for sure.
Right. And then Trey McBride, was anybody rooting harder for Trey McBride to score a touchdown in this game? Because he had 90-something catches with no touchdowns. It was like the longest stretch ever to start a season, right? Without a touchdown. Yeah. He's got 104 catches now. He's got 1,081 yards. He has 1 touchdown catch, and it was in this last game. He's been a good wide receiver. Just you got to get him the ball in the end zone somehow. Anyway, and then of course the diving interception, which I had to watch like 4 times, and I'm like, yeah, he caught it. He did, right? By Witherspoon.
Yeah.
He did. He got it. It was just enough, and then he fell and he rolled out of the end zone, and okay, whatever. Anyway, it was a good game to watch. That was actually an entertaining game to watch. It just was a terrible score. I expected more out of the 2 teams than I got. I think I expect a lot out of teams anymore, but anyway,
that's fair.
I do. Anyway, so let's talk about, and I don't know if I'm at the scores there. So let's talk about the Vikings. The Vikings beat the Packers 27-25 in a game that I thought the Vikings had wrapped up at the end of the 3rd quarter. It was 27-10, right?
Yeah.
And then the Packers scored a couple times and made it close, right?
Creeping, being difficult.
Yeah. They made it closer than it should have been. Darnold is 33 of 43 for 377 and 3 touchdowns. Yes, and here's what I was going to say. You said it earlier in the year at some point in time. It's easy to do when you have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. And after
easier.
And after watching this game, I would say, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
They make your job 1,000 times easier. Joe Burrow has the career he has because he has Jamar Chase and T.
Correct. Agreed. And there's guys that do that. There's a reason why he's got 4,300 yards or whatever he's got. But
Being fair, I want to counter argue myself a little bit there because Tua leaves the game and no backup can just come in and have success with Waddle and Hill and those guys.
Which is weird, right? Because they can't throw the ball deep because
I think the issue is that's a specialized offense, whereas these are more general. Like they're not talented or skilled or complex, but these are more normal looking offenses. The Dolphins are not a normal looking offense.
I still tell you that Sam Darnold needs a vote at least for MVP. 1, at least. I don't know who's going to vote for him, but at least 1.
If they win, well,
if they beat Detroit,
Saquon just put up 2K.
Okay, hold on. Let's back. I'm gonna talk about that in a minute.
That's the hard part.
I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. Vikings win over the Packers 27-25 to become the first 14 game winner in the NFC North. The Lions, by the way, and I'm pulling it up right now, 40-28 lead over San Francisco with 2 minutes to go. Yeah, so they're going to win. The Lions will move to 14-2. The Vikings are 14-2. They both play the last week of the season. They play each other, and that's for the division, right? The loser of that game can finish no higher than the 5 seed, and this is where I have a problem. 2 14-game winners has never happened in NFL history in a regular season.
Mm.
So this will be the first time ever. Now, part of that's because we have 17 games, but still.
Well, that's a good point. You said that, and I went, wait a minute, he's right.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about, that's part of the trivia question, which is coming up in a minute, by the way. So, yeah, 2 14-game winners in the same division, that's never happened. It's never happened. And so you got 2 of them. And so this is going to come out of the last game of the season. I was really hoping the Seahawks and Rams would come out of the last game of the season. I like that. I like that the fact that they're division games in the last game of the season or last 2 weeks, it should always be that way because you never know what's going to happen. I still think the Lions are better than the Vikings. I don't know why I think that. But I think they're going to win. The Lions are 7-0.
You feel like they're more physical. And also the Lions have been better recently, so your brain just tells you that they have to continue to be better. Right. Yeah.
You still at some point think Sam Darnold's going to blow it. I don't think that's true, but my brain tells
me. You're waiting for it.
I'm waiting for it.
You're waiting for him to start seeing ghosts. It's any day now.
And I still think the Lions, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, oh my God. Jared Goff has been amazing too. So that's a good football team. I don't know who's going to win that football game, but I love
to expect anything else.
I love that they're playing on the last week of the season. Let's talk about the Broncos.
Let's do it.
Oh my God, you really want to talk about it?
I mean, I like Broncos.
We kind of have to. Broncos Bengals. Was painful to watch. If you're a Broncos fan, and I'm in there. I'm with you because I want them to be in there.
It's painful to watch if you were a Bengals fan, but a little less painful.
A little less painful. The Broncos only needed a win, and they're in. Yeah. Bengals need
a tie.
Right. The Bengals needed a win. They need to win out, and they need Miami to lose and Indianapolis to lose to get in.
Yeah.
Because they're like the third team out. This is what needed to happen. What happened in a game that was really boring for 2.5 quarters? All of a sudden, teams started trading touchdowns. Burrow throws 3.
It got good.
It did. It got good late. Burrow throws a 3-yard touchdown pass to Higgins in overtime, and that's what won the Bengals the game with the Broncos 30-24. It was Burrow's 39 of 49, 412 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
he was good. I mean, but he was mostly good in the second half.
Yeah, Burrow killed it.
But they make second half adjustments, and they're great. He got sacked 7 times. The Broncos had 7 sacks and probably 3 called back from penalties.
3 other ones called back for the biggest. And by the way, we talked about after the Bronco game that they started calling those illegal contact penalties.
Yeah.
I saw it continue to be called all weekend.
Yeah, the illegal contact, game, Sunday, yeah.
But I had not seen them in the 16 weeks prior to this.
Agreed.
But they kept it up. Next thing you know, I'm watching, I can't remember what game it was yesterday.
Green Bay, Minnesota.
Green Bay, Minnesota, yeah. And then they also called it in the Falcons game against the Commanders. And I was like,
all of a sudden there's illegal contact. Illegal contact was like the focus this weekend.
Yeah, they called the refs and they say, hey, you see it downfield, you throw that flag. And the problem is it kept hosing Riley Moss from the Broncos in his first game back from injury. And I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you what happened was they tried to go at Pat Surtain in the first half.
It's true.
It doesn't work. Stop it. Do what everyone else who has common sense does and start moving Jamar Chase off of Pat Surtain. And once they started doing that, they started motioning him a lot, and the Broncos run a lot of zone, especially when you have Riley Moss back there. They run a lot of zone. It opened everything up. And then they started picking on Riley Moss.
It's funny.
With T. Higgins, yeah.
It's funny to read the defensive stats for Denver and Cincinnati in this game. By the way, 2 passes defended, right? Nick Bonito is one of those, and Cody Barton is the other. They're linebackers, right?
Yeah.
And then for Cincinnati...
That means they're batted down at the line, probably.
Right. Cincinnati is Jermaine Pratt and Joseph Asai, linebackers. All 4... passes deflected. I guess it's deflected, right? PD passes deflected. We're linebackers, right? Okay. So let's back up. Riley Moss had 14 tackles, 11 solo, which is a lot. I mean,
I think I read somewhere he gave up like 100 yards.
And he might have. They don't show that stat here. Pat Surtain had 6 tackles in this game. So safeties were a big deal because Cam Taylor-Britt had 8 tackles, right, for Cincinnati. It was a big deal. There were 4 quarterback hits by Cincinnati, 15 quarterback hits by the Broncos. 15 and 7 sacks. 6 tackles for loss. The Broncos should have won this football game. By defensive stats alone, by what you see on here, there's no reason why Cincinnati should have been in this game. And yet, there they were. You even had the Bo Nix bomb, right? To
Marvin
Mims in the back of the end zone.
The longest through the air pass of the season in the NFL.
Yeah. And that's what.
And remember this offseason when they said Bo Nix didn't have an arm?
Yeah, he don't have an arm. But he threw it 67 yards in the air.
In the air.
To the back of the end zone,
I didn't see Anthony Richardson do that once.
It's only a 51-yard touchdown pass, but it's 67 yards in the air. Bo Nix only sacked twice, 24 of 31, 219 yards, 3 touchdowns and interception. His rating is still 114. His QBR is 64, which is not great. He didn't have as good a QBR as Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow averaged 8.4 yards per attempt because they're throwing the freaking football all the time.
I mean they throw the ball 18 times more.
T. Higgins beat the Broncos. 11 catches, 131 yards, 11.9 yards per catch, 3 touchdowns.
And they're saying 101 and 2 touchdowns were lined up against man on Moss.
Yeah, Moss. But that's the problem because Jamar Chase was taking Surtain. Right?
Jamar Chase was either taking Surtain or they'd motion him to the other side. But Moss is mostly a nickel guy, so he comes in to play over the top. And if you're running T. Higgins out there to try and take the top off of everything, you open up Jamar Chase. I mean, Jamar Chase had 102 yards on 9 receptions, so he still caught a bunch of stuff.
Right.
But his longest was, I guess T's is only 31. His longest was 38. So he was getting a lot of short underneath stuff. And he had 15 targets too.
And Gesicki got 10 passes for 86 yards.
Gosh, I had never wanted to punch somebody in the face more than Gesicki. Every time he caught the ball, he stood up like he really did something.
Everybody does that. I hate that.
He would catch it for 10.1 yards.
Right, got a first down.
He stood up and he would flex and scream. And
that first down motion that everybody does, right? When they run for, it's 3rd down and 2. I ran for 3 yards. Get a first down. And I'm like, oh, God, whatever.
There's a quick sidebar. What is the best first down celebration you've ever seen?
Wow, I don't know. I never really paid attention to first down celebrations. I really don't because who cares? But
I remember them. So my favorite is No Sean Marino for Denver.
Right.
He ran a short, not very long gain, right, and got a first down, and he got tackled to the ground. It was against the Chiefs. And next thing you know, he army crawls. Right arm, left arm, right arm, left arm. And then puts his little fingers up and then shoots it like it's a first down.
Oh my God!
That was my favorite one of all time. That was his best first down celebration. But yeah, everyone does. Now, if you get any sort of first down, you gotta point, do something, celebrate. I like the ones that are quick and easy. Like George Kittle does a little drop in the bucket thing every time. It's kind of fun.
I don't like it. I mean, first downs are not a big deal to me. I mean, you're gonna get how many of them a game? A lot. So I don't know. I mean, so you caught a 2-yard pass for a first down, and it's a big deal. It's not a big deal. I mean,
you only get 9 targets a game if you're the best player on the team. You probably get more like 3 or 4.
But let's be fair. On 1st and 10, he catches a 9-yard pass. He doesn't celebrate. But on 2nd and 1, he catches a 3-yard pass, and first down. And then that's not a big deal. The 9-yard pass was a bigger deal.
It's a full another 3 downs. You just grab your team.
I'm just saying whatever.
My problem with Gesicki is that he didn't have to do a lot. Like, he's not a big yards after catch kind of guy. Right. So wherever he caught it, which is where Joe Burrow got the ball to you at. So you do have to run your route and you do have to catch it, but he does the rest of the work and making sure it's there. All you have to do is catch it, go to the ground, and you can get up and celebrate, I guess. But that's what he did every time he celebrated. It got really annoying.
Okay. Let's be fair. When Cade York donked the left goal upright in overtime, right? We're like, okay, Broncos got this. That's literally what I said. Broncos have this now. He donked it. They gave him the ball, and now here's the chance for them to win. And he just doinked it off the left upright. And I was like, okay, Broncos have got this. And then, no, they didn't. I was so disappointed in that drive at that point. I was like, what the hell just happened? Because it was 3 and out after the missed field goal. It was just 3 and out. And I'm like, okay, there needed to be something there because you guys had, and that's what led to the touchdown, as they punted and then.
Well, we had. All right, so first of all, go for 2.
Go for 2. And Bo Nix was saying that the whole time. He had his 2 up, and he was like, let's go for 2.
I was talking. What's it called? I was not talking. I was listening to the radio today, and one of the guys is a former Bronco, and he played for a bunch of coaches, including Sean Payton at one point. And he was saying, there's no reason Bo Nix is holding up 2 fingers unless it's coming through his headset that they're going for 2.
Oh, really?
So clearly, he said, yeah, quarterbacks don't argue that way, not normally.
Well,
he's like, you'll do it when you get to the sideline. He's like, but if you're holding up 2 fingers that fast, it's because it's already coming through your headset that it's going to be for 2. And you're telling your teammates, get ready. Here's what's happening. He's like, then the replay took forever. He's like, and I guarantee it. Somebody got in Sean Payton's ear and said, hey, a tie wins it too. Gets us
true.
Too.
Maybe.
And somebody got in his ear and talked him out of it or persuaded him or whatever, maybe just got in his own head about it. Because Sean Payton after the game said that was, going for the field goal was the right call. And then today he came out in his little press conference that he does on Mondays and said that, nah, you kind of look back and you regret some decisions, things, going for 2, I think it would have been better. So they should have gone for 2. Have the balls. You're Sean Payton, right? Like, does anybody expect you not to go for 2? You have all the momentum. Do you really think giving the ball back to Joe Burrow is the best idea in any scenario?
I didn't.
Yeah, no one does.
The minute I saw Bo holding up his 2 fingers, I'm like, yes, 2.
Yes,
go for 2. You guys have it. Let's go. Go get it.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
But yeah, then Then overtime came. The missed field goal, and then we took the ball and
punt, missed field goal, punt, touchdown by the Broncos. But when the Broncos went 3 and out on that possession, I said, yeah, it's over. I didn't even need to see the rest of it. I was like, yeah, but Joe Burrow, you can't give the ball back to Joe Burrow like that. They punted on the first possession in overtime, and that was a great stop. 5 plays, 17 yards. It was great. And then you went 3 and out, and then you gave the ball to them. They drove down the field. Okay, touchdown, right? Or field goal. Oh, they doinked it. Okay, you got the ball back. Okay, now it's your chance to win. Now I was like, yeah, okay, now.
By the way, that was 5 plays, 17 yards, and that was one of those illegal contacts.
Right, and I was like, but I was like, okay, Broncos get the ball back after the missed field goal.
Yeah,
this is your chance. 3 plays, 2 yards. Oh, 23 seconds. It was the whole drive, 23 seconds. And then, it was awesome.
We have this issue, and I swear it's Sean Payton in his own head. It's got to be Sean Payton in his own head because you see what he's capable of times, and at other times you see him do things and you go, what? Why is that? Like a great example is Julian McLaughlin is our number 1 running back. Yeah. And yet, on obvious passing downs at times, there's Javonte Williams.
Right.
In our backfield. Is he our best backfield pass catcher? He's not even our best running back, let alone out of the backfield pass catcher. Yeah. Like he's third on the depth chart right now. Like I don't understand some of the things that go through their heads, and I get some of it's misdirection, and you're trying to put people on the field to pull the brains out. Like it's too much sometimes, and sometimes you're just like, why are you doing this?
The pass that Joe Burrow dropped into T. Higgins at the 3 or whatever it was, in overtime, was a beautiful. It was a beautiful ball, and it was. I was like, oh, shit, he caught that.
T. Higgins was the guy who had that touchdown a couple of years ago that you were super impressed with, where he spun around
and flipped the ball over the goal line. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
He's got a sense of what's what. But
yeah, he's pretty good.
This pass from Joe Burrow was really, really good on the sideline. Yeah. Dropped it right in there, and he got his feet in, and they reviewed it, and it was still. I'm like, that's what led the win. But
I'll tell you what, though. Earlier in that game, they called the Bengals for a pick play at the 1 yard line or 2 yard line. That touchdown, same play.
Yeah, I agreed.
Same play, but that's where you got to coach up your defensive backs and say, hey, look, if that guy turns and comes this way, he's coming through you. you need to act like he's coming through you. I want to see hands and flailing and all sorts of crap because they're not going to call it if you don't give them a reason to call it.
You have to show it, yeah. They don't call.
Yeah. But it was a pick play right there at the end. I mean,
they don't call it pick plays nearly as much as it happens.
Yeah.
But whatever.
It was a great game to watch, though.
It was a good game to watch.
I can objectively say it as a casual fan. That's the kind of game you want in primetime moments.
And for playoff purposes. That's amazing. Purposes. Yeah.
It was exciting. As a Bronco fan, you go, damn it, that's a missed opportunity. Not going for two, couple this, couple that. But it's also Joe Burrow. And they had a bad start to their season, but boy, are they the hottest team in football?
Maybe.
And so this is where I was saying earlier.
I don't know if they're the hottest team in football.
If you're the Chiefs,
Vikings or Lions or agreed, okay. Right?
If you're the Chiefs, do you want to take a chance
on
having to play Joe Burrow?
Well,
or if the Bengals want to sit all 21 of your starters and let the Broncos win.
If the Bengals get in, they'll be the 7, right?
Right, Broncos will be the 7. Whoever the teams that are undecided are the 7.
But if the Bengals get in, they'll be the 7, and they'll have to play at Buffalo.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that's
fine,
a
but
great.
Do you want the chance?
No.
Let's say either the Bengals or Denver makes it to the second round. Great, you won your game. You're the lowest seed team. You managed to surprise Buffalo.
Right.
Do you want the Bengals or the Broncos?
Agreed. What I'm saying is this: if you're the Bills, you're going to be playing at home in January, which you're used to.
And if you're the Bills, do you want the Bengals or the Broncos?
I would rather have the Broncos.
I would rather have the Broncos because I'd want the easier team.
Agreed.
And the Chiefs would rather have the Broncos if they made it to the second round because they want the easier team. So why don't the Chiefs
let the Broncos
let the Broncos?
I agree with
quote
you.
unquote. Like you play it soft.
Quote unquote.
You keep Joe Burrow out of the playoffs. Right. You end this Burrow Mahomes nonsense that people have been talking about for years. He's not even in the playoffs. He's a nobody. And then best case scenario, you get a fumbling, bumbling offense of Bo Nix.
Right.
In the second round, God forbid they make it through the first round. Yeah. I think that it benefits both the Bills and the Chiefs to have the Broncos go through because if the Bengals can score 30 points on anyone, and you don't want that smoke if you're the Chiefs who have trouble scoring 24 points some games.
I agree. So let's talk about something else because I agree. Could there be a bigger loser than the Falcons to the Commanders? The Falcons score Kyle Pitts 13-yard touchdown pass from Michael Penix on a 12-play, 68-yard drive with 1:19 left to score the tying score, and then Washington goes 12 plays, 70 yards, 7 minutes. Basically, they take the kickoff and they just go down and score. This is part of what I don't like about the NFL is that overtime thing where...
Well, overtime is terrible, yeah.
If you take the kickoff and you just drive down and score, then the game's over. That's retarded. Come on.
Well, they said at the Broncos game, right? Like, going into overtime, your chances are better, your odds are better going for 2 than a coin flip.
Mm-hmm.
You have better odds than the coin
Agreed.
flip.
You should take the 2.
That's how bad NFL overtime is.
And anyway, Zach Ertz gets a 2-yard touchdown pass from Jaden Daniels in overtime to win at 30-24. And Washington, who was already in, is 11-5. But it hurts Atlanta. Atlanta plays Carolina on the last week, and Tampa Bay plays New Orleans.
Yeah.
So neither team is great, but I would give the edge to Tampa Bay.
I would, but it's I think it's Tampa's to lose if they win they're in, right? Or is it Atlanta's to lose?
It is a good question. That's
whoever's in the seed right now.
Let's figure it out. So
controls
right now. So the playoff standings. When I looked at them earlier, they were mucked up. Now that's good. Okay, so here's the NFC. NFC, yeah. Right now, Tampa is the 4 seed at 9-7.
Okay, so Tampa's got to win in their in.
Let's look because they're ahead of by a game. So there's not like a win and you're in. They're not the same record. So Atlanta has beaten Tampa. Atlanta's beaten Tampa 31-26 in one game, and they beat them twice, 36-30. So Atlanta has the advantage. If Tampa loses,
yes.
and Atlanta wins,
that's what I'm saying. For Tampa, it's winning you're in.
Correct. You got to win.
you need to win, and you need Tampa to lose.
Right. Yeah.
But Tampa's in the seed. I don't expect them to lose to the Saints.
But that was a huge loss for Atlanta. They should have. They were in the game, and man,
if they would have won that, you wouldn't have needed help in the last week. You just have to win.
Right.
Yeah, that was a crusher for them. Yeah, there are only 2 seeds undecided, one in each division, and this is one of them. Yeah.
And that's where I say the coin toss in overtime decides the division for the NFC South in this game, right? Because if Atlanta wins the coin toss and they go down and score, they win, and they're in a position where just win, you're in.
Yeah. They just have to change the damn overtime rules.
They do. They got it.
I mean, technically speaking, you could count the Bengals in with the team that won the overtime toss, won overtime.
Agreed.
It's not really fair because there was 2 possessions for both teams, or 3 possessions for one team, 2 for the other, for that overtime period.
Right.
But it counts in the stat the same way as if you just took the ball down and scored.
Agreed.
So, which is a little misleading. But that being said, everyone agrees. Just either make it a full period, whatever, an extra period of football. You can still have a coin toss, and the winner gets the ball first, but it's an extra period of football. Or make it more like college, where it's something like a 40-yard drive. Right? Field goal gives the other team a chance. Touchdown, no matter what happens, the other team gets an opportunity to respond with an equal value. So
all of this brings us to the trivia question.
Okay.
Which is, since 1978, which is when the NFL expanded to 16 games. Okay. Since 1978, what season had the most 10-win teams in the NFL? Because we got 2 14-win teams playing for a division title. It's the first time it's ever happened. What season has the most 10-win teams, and what was the number of teams that won 10 games in that same season? Right? Because 10 is the number. 10 and 6, you're in the playoffs. 10 and 7, you're in the playoffs. 9 and 8, maybe, but not necessarily. Right? So this year, just for reference, you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, a potential of 14 teams to finish at 10 and 7 or better. Okay?
Huh.
So there's 14 teams that could finish at 10 and 7 or better. What's the record for number of teams that have 10 wins or more in a season? And what year? So I'm going to give you a hint. It's multiple years.
Oh, it's tied between a couple?
It's a tie. Yeah. So if you can tell me the number of teams that won 10 games, what the record is, I will give you a point. And if you can tell me any of the years, I will give you another point.
Well, I'm gonna guess it's 12.
It's 13.
Oh, it's close.
13 teams is the record.
So 14 this year would break that.
Would break the record. How many times does it happen?
3?
5.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
When was the most recent one?
2020. So, and that's funny because 2020 is 16 game season. Prior to 17, I thought it was going to be 17 game season, right? I thought it was going to be a 17 game season, which started in 2021. So 2020 was the last 16 game season. But that was 13 teams. 2012.
Oh, that was Steelers, Ravens, Browns year, where the 3 of them were all duking it out late in the season.
2020 was Steelers with 12, Ravens with 11, Browns with 11.
Yeah, they were all duking it out like towards the last week of the season.
But also Bills with 13, Dolphins with 10, Titans with 11, Colts with 11, Chiefs with 14. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of those teams in the AFC.
Yeah.
That was also the year that the Washington Commanders won the NFC East with 7-9 record. So there's that. But yeah, so it happens. Also, what's the lowest amount of teams that have ever won 10 games in the season?
3.
6.
Oh.
1987.
Apparently it's pretty easy.
1987, 1983. That's the year. So there's your trivia question. Let's look at the standings right now because here it is. We want the playoff standings. So here's your playoff standings right now. Oh, sorry. As they stand, we haven't even gotten to that point yet. Oh, there we go. That's 2020. Sorry. I still have it set for 2020. There you go. Chiefs at 15-1 have the bye. They clinched the bye, right, with the win over Pittsburgh. Buffalo has clinched their spot as the 2 seed. Baltimore and Pittsburgh are still up for grabs, 3-5. Houston is going to be the number 4 seed. And then it's Chargers Broncos, right? So the Chargers are at 6, and it's either going to be Broncos or the Dolphins and the Bengals at 7. So there's that.
That's right. The Bengals also need the Dolphins to lose, and they play the Jets.
Yeah, the Dolphins won last week, right? So, and then you got the NFC, which is the power division, right? They have the Vikings, they have the Lions, 14-2. They're the number 1 right now. The Eagles, the Rams, the Buccaneers, who still haven't clinched against the Falcons, right? So there's that. You got the Vikings at 14-2. The Commanders and the Packers are in. And so the playoff teams are in, except for Tampa or Atlanta. One of those 2 teams is going to be the 4. The other one's out of the playoffs.
There's only 5 undecided teams competing for 2 spots, 2 in one division, 3 in the other. Yeah,
right.
And 2 of them are in Atlanta and Tampa Bay. So yeah, Tampa does their job. They're in, and I see no reason why they won't against the 5-11 Saints.
Agreed. So
in theory.
Let's talk real quick about the playoff college football playoff that's coming up. Ohio State and Oregon play on New Year's Day in the Rose Bowl. By the way, the history is 11 games played between Ohio State and Oregon. Oregon has won 2. They're 2-9, but it's the last 2.
The last 2. Yeah.
That's important. They've never beaten them in a bowl game. So
they've only played in a handful of bowl games.
Well, 5 or 6. So
Rose Bowl, right?
Right, the Rose Bowl, right. So the last time they played in a bowl game, it was the college football championship game. Let's call it that. In 2014, and that was a 42-20 win. They played in the Rose Bowl on January 1st in 2009, lost 26-17. So bowl games are their downfall. And they lost in the Rose Bowl in 58. It's 1957 season, 1958. 10-7 to Ohio State. So 3 times they played in a bowl game and lost.
Yeah, I'll tell you this though: if we don't have Darren Carrington, who's that other safety, and there was another receiver. We lost 2 of our starting receivers before the championship game against Ohio State.
Devin Allen.
No, it wasn't Devin Allen. It was somebody else. It was 2 people who were suspended. 3 people were suspended for marijuana.
Oh well, Devin Allen got hurt in the previous game. That might have been true too. Yeah. So we might have been down 3 receivers going into the title game against Ohio State. So it's been a long history, but Oregon has won the last 2. To include the win in Eugene this year, 32-21, and that was 33-31. That was interesting, right? Yeah, it was a good game. The last time they played in a bowl game, technically with Marcus Mariota as a quarterback.
How do you feel about Ohio State being right now they're listed at 2.5 point favorite on ESPN spread, but they opened as a 9-point favorite.
It's weird, right?
The fact that it's dropped to 2.5,
right,
tells you that people were betting the other way really hard,
really fast. I would have taken 9 points for sure.
Yeah, if you're gonna say Ohio State's gonna be Oregon by 9 points, I would absolutely run the other way. I don't bet on teams I like, but yeah,
yeah, agreed. That'll be fun to watch. Penn State and Boise State have never played, so that's never happened before. So that's in the Fiesta Bowl on New Year's Eve, which is tomorrow night, by the way.
Ooh, how exciting.
It's going to start everything off. That's going to be a tough game. Let's be fair. I think that whoever stops the other team from doing what they do best, and that's a generic term. If you can stop Boise State from running the football, you're going to win. If you can stop Penn State from controlling the time of possession, you're going to win. If you're Boise State. This is going to be a tough game. It's going to be tough for, I think.
Yeah, but Boise State thrives on time possession.
Agreed.
Run.
But what I'm saying is you have to control time of possession for Boise State because Penn State wants to control the football. That's what they want to do. It's short passes. It's running game. It's Singleton. It's freaking what's his name at tight end. That's what they do. They control the ball. If that's what they want to do. If Boise State can control the ball and run the football effectively, they'll win. They'll win that football game. Yeah, I think they will. I think Penn State's a better football team. I do. But I don't know that they can stop Genty from running the football because that's amazing. So That's going to be a good football game. I think that's probably the best matchup, to be honest with you, of these four. I think
I would say it's the most interesting.
I think it's going to be the best game of the four.
Yeah. My problem is that I've looked at Boise State's depth chart with Notarani, Simpson, these other guys. What's his name? Jake Rip, which is an awesome football name.
Yeah.
Their sizes do not match up to Tyler Warren.
Right. Tyler Warren's big.
He's 6'6", 260. And guess what? He could probably dunk over the end zone.
He might be able to get over the crossbar. I don't know. We'll see.
He's got 10 years younger knees, though. So.
It's true. It's a good point.
While we were talking, I watched the video of Travis Kelce doing that, and I went, I don't know how much he put his heart into that.
Yeah, he was not fully into it, but still, it's like a bad look, right?
If you're gonna do it,
come on, do it, dude, right?
Or do anything else. I mean, at least do a fadeaway.
That's what I said. It was like when he did, I was like, dude, that was kind of half-assed.
It was half-assed, yeah, for sure. But it's definitely the most interesting matchup because you don't expect much of Boise State in this game,
right?
But if they can put up a fight, they can cause Penn State a little bit of pause, and if they do that pause, get it? In the Lions. And if they do that, then it could be really difficult.
The Peach Bowl on New Year's Day, Texas at Arizona State. Texas and Arizona State have played one time, and Texas won it, and that was a Fiesta Bowl, I think, or something like that. Anyway, so really not a lot of history. Texas has to stop Cam Scatterbo from running the football.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to lose.
Feels super disrespectful that Texas is a 13-point favorite.
I think so. I think Arizona State's come out and gonna run hard. I mean, I don't know if Texas is good, but I don't know that they're 13 points better.
If Penn State came out as a 13-point favorite against Boise State, or Texas came out as a 13-point favorite against Boise State, I'd go, okay, they don't even typically play in the same level of football, really.
Right.
But Arizona State does.
Yeah, Arizona State.
They played in the Pac-12 and now they play in the Big 12. They're perfectly capable.
Right.
To say that they're 13 points worse than you, and when you have struggled at times to have competent offense consistently,
right? And Texas was in this position last year, and they lost to Washington. They were in the semifinals last year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they were a big favorite against Washington last year too.
They lost to the Huskies last year. So there's that coming. Notre Dame at Georgia. They've played 3 times. Georgia's won them all. So I don't know that. Not that any of that history means anything because those games were in the past. These are not the same teams. I get it.
I'd say, yeah.
But there's something to be said when you say, "Hey, we've won all times we've played Notre Dame. Every time we played Notre Dame,
we did our job."
Right. However, Carson Beck is out thanks to the injury in the SEC championship game. Gunnar Stockton is in. And by the way, if Gunnar Stockton, let me just say this, completes a pass that is longer than 16 yards, it'll be his first one since high school.
Really?
Yeah, he's not complete this year in his games. He's not completed a pass longer than 16 yards. So he's 5 of 13 on passes longer than 10 yards.
And here's what I'll give him: he's a third-year player, right?
He's a sophomore, but
he's a redshirt.
He might have been a redshirt. Yeah.
I think he's a redshirt sophomore.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of time
Agreed.
playing, not necessarily in game, but playing Division I college football, a big program at practices and things like that. Like he's got a lot of time with it, so he's not like a true scrub. Like, who's this freshman coming in to do this, right? Like, I wouldn't feel comfortable with a lot of the Ducks backups coming in to handle that job. His resume says a little more. Also, because they kick people's asses all year,
right?
He comes in the fourth quarter a lot, so he gets game time.
He does, but he hasn't.
That being said,
against many good teams.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah,
he hasn't come in to start throwing passes against Notre Dame secondary that is one of the best in the nation.
Right.
I don't think Notre Dame's a true title contender, but I think they could sneak up on any quarterback who's feeling a little doe-eyed. So it's very interesting. We'll see what happens.
Here's your bracket. Texas at Arizona State. That's 10 a.m. on New Year's Day in the Peach Bowl at 2 o'clock, which is a traditional start time for the Rose Bowl. That's Oregon and Ohio State.
Oh, hey, another reason they're wearing the chrome domes is because people love the reflections.
Yeah. And then you have Penn State, Boise State, which is New Year's Eve at 4:30, And then you have the late game, which is Sugar Bowl, Notre Dame, and Georgia on New Year's Day. Yeah, this is going to be great. It's a great set of games. I'm excited about it. The Oregon Ohio State game. Honestly, let's be honest. Ohio State's 2.5-point favorite, but the winner of that game has got to be a favorite to win it all.
Yeah,
got to be.
Yeah, if Oregon beats Ohio State for the second time this season. People don't want to give Oregon credit, and maybe they should, and maybe they shouldn't. They tend to lose the big ones,
from
right?
history,
it is what it is.
From past history.
So even if Oregon beats Ohio State, I still think you're gonna have a lot of people saying, "Well, if Georgia wins, they're gonna be like, well, Georgia's too strong for them. Georgia's too physical. Georgia got too big of a defense." Blah blah blah. I still think you'll get those people saying that sort of thing. But if Oregon beats Ohio State, you can't say much because your argument earlier was that it was earlier in the season,
right?
Right, and it was a close win, blah, 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 blah. Even if it's a second close win, you can't say it anymore. Right. You have to give them their credit and say, all right, they've earned their way all the way to this point. Good gosh.
Let's be fair. Georgia has beaten two wins over playoff teams, right, at this point. The eight teams left, they have 2 wins. Right. That's Texas, both times.
Yeah.
Right? Arizona State has none. Boise State has none. Penn State has none. Notre Dame has none. Okay? Ohio
State.
Hold on. Ohio State has none. One. They beat Penn State.
Penn State.
Right.
Yeah.
Oregon has 3.
3.
Oregon's the only team on this chart that's won 3 games against the teams that are left. That's 1 against Penn State, 1 against Boise State, 1 against Ohio State. If they win again against Ohio State, they'll have 4.
4. Yeah.
If they win this whole thing, they're going to have to do it against Ohio State, Texas, and Georgia. And that's
more than likely. But if we pray for chaos, we'll get a Boise State, Arizona State.
The
viewership drop off will be huge.
Oregon, Arizona State, and Boise State, Notre Dame.
Okay. How poetic would that be if 2 Pac-12 teams
played for the national championship?
Final 4 teams.
2 played for the semifinal, yeah.
The semifinal. So after they disseminated into other conferences because they weren't, quote, good enough to have a hand. Yeah.
If Arizona State can run the ball, they can beat Texas. If they can beat Texas. Keep running the ball, they can beat Texas. Texas is beatable.
That is one of those. That is probably the biggest game of all 4 this weekend that I would circle as this has the biggest upset potential on it.
Agreed. And it depends on Georgia if Stockton is healthy. Notre Dame can beat Georgia. So there's 2 upsets. Penn State will beat Boise State, in my opinion. Penn State will beat Boise State. I think Oregon's going to beat Ohio State again. So there's that. But you might have an Oregon, Arizona State, Penn State, Notre Dame.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
The only thing I'm hoping is that all this time sitting and waiting for a game helps Oregon State.
Yeah.
Or not Oregon State, Oregon. Oh my gosh. Wow. I
didn't
deserve to go outside for that one.
Go Beavers.
Helps Oregon have gotten to a healthy point and have helped them game prep well with an extra game of film.
You had a chance.
I mean, technically they have an extra game of film on you, but with the extra time to prepare and things like that, I just really hope it helps us. I always worry about big gaps because I worry about rust.
You got a legitimate chance, let's be honest, of Oregon and Penn State playing in the championship game, right? That'd be great. Oregon and Boise State. That'd be great because we've already beaten both those teams. We know that. That'll be interesting. Anyway, there's a lot of good football left to play.
Apparently, though, we're getting Jordan Birch back.
Yep.
Fully healthy.
We're amazing.
Getting Jaleel Florence back, our 5-star best. What's it called? Cornerback.
Yeah.
Right. He's been hurt for a while, so we're getting him back. Like, I'm really excited about the guys we're getting back.
ESPN says 54 almost % for Ohio State to win. I don't know how they figured that out after we've already beat them, but whatever. So
I would say they figured that out based on the way that I looked at that game, which is that we won for sure, but we won because they made some fatal mistakes.
I also look at
the stretch of their game.
I also look at the fact that they lost to Michigan 13-10, and we didn't. At Michigan, we beat them.
They rallied from that and boom.
But agreed. But at Michigan, we won 38-17. At home, they lost 13-10. And you're giving them a 54% chance. I think it should be the other way.
So true.
It's close, but I mean, we won on the road at Michigan, beat them by 21 points. You lost at home by 3. in the last game of the season when you needed to win to get into the Big Ten championship.
Do it.
Yeah, you lost the most critical game.
Ohio State 3 times,
right?
And instead, Michigan and your inability to score points gave it to us twice in a season.
So I don't know how that Michigan's necessarily or Ohio State's the favorite, but whatever. You guys, you're saying it. That's fine. I'm sure they were the favorite in the first game.
They were a favorite in the first game. Yeah. I think if anybody can take a good spin on things and put it in the right way, I think it's Dan Lanning. I think Dan Lanning gets his players' heads right.
Big games. He's up for big games. So
he's up for big games. Did I tell you about what he said when they announced that he was getting Ohio State, and then if he won that, it would probably be Texas, and then if he won that, it would probably be Georgia? Did I tell you what he said? They're talking to him on ESPN, and it's live during the review or the reveal, and they say, "Hey Dan, I know it's not the best scenario for you. I wonder your thoughts on it. If you do this, you're gonna get that. If you do this, you're gonna get that. Do you feel like it needs to change?" And he goes, "What an opportunity! What an opportunity to show who we are to the world." He's like, "We knew it wouldn't be easy no matter who we played. Right. This just means that we can prove it even on a bigger stage."
Yeah.
And I love that answer. What an opportunity!
If you go out and beat Ohio State and Texas and Georgia in a row, you're the national champion.
I don't know that there's ever been more of a definitive national championship than doing that.
All right. Well, we got to go. We've been going too long. We'll talk about the rest of this stuff later.
Yeah.
So that's about it. That's all we got for today. We want to thank the music's loud. I want to pull it down. Right?
Nice.
I want to thank ESPN and our sponsors, Save and Stone Wine Estates, for the trivia question. And we're going to talk more about college football playoff next week, probably next Tuesday. I'm going to guess that the 7th will be on, Tuesday the 7th, right?
Yeah.
We'll talk about the college football playoff. We'll talk about the NFL, and the playoffs will be set. So thanks for listening. This has been a Brain Rock production, a division of Lonely Tree Media. We'll see you next week.